Happy Sunday, beautiful patrons. As always, thank you for your love and your support. This is your Sunday message. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm actually going to read from an article that's published online on Psychology Today. The article is published, or written rather, by Jeremy E. Sherman, who has a Ph.D., and has written on the subject of total control versus no control theory of emotions. Can you control your emotions or not? And so I want to read this article, and I'm going to pause every so often just to give you my opinion or to tell you why I think this is relevant or important to our message today. So Jeremy starts off by saying, he just insulted you and you feel your blood pressure rise. For a minute, as your body floods with resentment, your chance of staying calm is slim. You take a deep breath. Turning away expressionless, you muster all the spiritual benevolence you can, and for once, you don't counterattack. You say something impressively forgiving and dignified. Do you mean it? Maybe not, but it works. He, braced for a fight, is thrown off balance, and suddenly you feel less threatened, safer in who you are and where you stand. Now, staying calm and forgiving in the encounter gets easier. Resisting that initial pull toward retaliation was hard. At first, you were wobbly, but then it becomes effortless. From wobbly to stable, it's the 10-minute equivalent of learning to ride a bicycle. Scenarios like these are important to cognitive theory. They demonstrate that your emotions aren't fixed facts. They're flexible. I will interject, dear patrons, by saying this is the point for me. I'm going to talk about this hopefully even more on our new podcast, Hope After Faith, but Between the Pages. But for me, as an individual, let me stop there and clarify there. A fair amount of my desire to become spiritual was to control my emotions. I felt like my emotions were very negative and very dangerous to me. Maybe not dangerous physically, but dangerous in that it would create behavior that would create very negative effects, very negative consequences over time. How much of that concern was already instilled in me via religion? I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why I looked towards religion to try to fix the problem. I don't know. But I love this study of cognitive therapy. So it says, scenarios like these are important to cognitive therapy. They demonstrate that your emotions aren't fixed facts. They're flexible. It's all in how you interpret your situation. Tell a different story, and you automatically generate a different emotional response. Positive psychology likewise advocates ways to limber up emotional response. It agrees with cognitive theory. You can change your story to change your emotions. But you can also change your behavior to change your emotions. You can jumpstart emotions, fake it till you make it, behave differently, and people will respond differently. If you play the calm one in a conflict, an opponent's response often makes it increasingly easy to continue to play the calm one. About this fluidity of interpretation and emotion, there has accumulated a bit of oversimplifying conventional wisdom. In any situation, you have complete control and flexibility in how you respond. This is talking about the conventional wisdom. No matter what's going on, you can choose whether to be angry or calm, resentful or forgiving. It's all up to you. It's called the total control theory of emotions. This theory usually comes bundled with an incriminating assumption that there's an obvious right way to be. If you have complete control over whether you're resentful or forgiving, and if forgiveness is the obvious right thing to feel, then if you're resentful instead of forgiving, you failed. So I want to make this part one for this message. This idea that there is a such thing as a total control theory of emotions. This is something that lives its life out within particularly evangelical Christianity, and no one even knows that it is a psychological theory, trying to figure out what is and is not true within our ability to control or not control our emotions. I was brought up in a religious world that believed this theory, that you have complete and total control, that you can just choose to forgive, that you can just choose to not be resentful. And maybe as the article goes on, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, maybe it says that that's true, maybe it says that it's not true, but what's important for this particular message is that we dig deep in our experience and we determine what we think is true for us, and that we also determine that we may be putting responsibilities, we may be judging ourselves in areas and in ways that is totally not fair. And we have been made to think that because there are ideas, there are philosophies, there are worldviews, there are psychological concepts out there that says we have total control and that we can make choices to do or not do this. For this particular message, I'm not going to tell you which way I think it is, or maybe even I'm not even going to tell you what the article says it is, but what I'm going to ask you to do is to simply dig down and look at yourself and ask yourself, am I looking at this as if it's black or white, that it's one way or the other, that I do or do not have control? Is it so simple? Is being a human that simple as better behavior simply via a choice? Well, I kind of hope we can choose to make ourselves happy. Love you all very much. Thank you for your love and support. See you on the other side.